Alright guys, I'm finally capitulating. Bitcoin is here to stay. Time to think like an investor. When let's do it one more time. When Bitcoin came out for the very first time, your reaction was probably something similar to mine if you're interested in finance and investing, and it all was this fantastic idea about how this new form of money or digital gold could revolutionize the way our financial system worked and would almost provide a new investment class. Now, that was one way of thinking about it, but another way of thinking about it was that this was just a total speculative bubble and it was probably going nowhere. It was one of these things where everyone just gets really interested because the price is going up and up and it creates a great news story. But kind of like GameStop or AMC, there's really no intrinsic value behind the investment. People are really just interested because the price is going up. I mean, this is where my head was at. And I think looking back, obviously that was wrong because we've seen Bitcoin skyrocket and continue to make new highs and make new highs. But I think that's really where you arrive at. If you've learned how to do investing the right way, from the correct principles from the ground up, what that means is a lot of the time you're gonna miss out on the big home runs. You're going to avoid catastrophe a lot of the time because you're not going to get on a trend the second it begins. Because like me, you may have been looking at Bitcoin when it came out and thought, I want to wait this out a little bit. I want to see how this thing reacts to panics or how it reacts to security issues or what this is going to mean for our political system and if it's going to be banned. These are all questions that as an investor you should be asking and you should be curious about. But for me, in that case, I had this idea that I wanted to wait it out and kind of see. And I paid for that. I paid the price because had I got in earlier, I would have made a lot more money. And that's really the trade-off when it comes to investing wisely or prudently, is that you're not always going to hit the home runs because you need to see things out. You need to wait them out. But the people who were both early and right, which is very hard to do, ended up making tons of money. And this obviously just fuels the bubble more as more and more people get involved in the conversation, and it gets even more fascinating how much money people are making. Now, over the past few months, there's been a lot of different narratives around Bitcoin that have caused it to, rise and fall. One of the big ones being how Elon Musk was deciding that he was going to allow Tesla to start accepting payment in Bitcoin, which is that's huge, because what that means is that people can take all of this Bitcoin and this wealth that they've created and actually spend it on a good or service without having to take it out of their Bitcoin and pay capital gains tax and all that sort of thing. Now, it's funny because this was kind of immediately reversed a few weeks later when Elon Musk decided, well, this is actually probably going to destroy the climate because of how much energy goes into mining Bitcoin. And he recanted his statement and the price of Bitcoin essentially crashed. It returned right back to where it was before he made any of those statements. But this past week, something really fascinating has happened that we haven't really seen before. And the president, prime minister, the leader, the political leader of El Salvador, actually decided that he was going to make Bitcoin legal tender in El Salvador. And that makes total sense because he looks like this. Now, in my opinion, this could either be a massive boon or a huge miss for El Salvador. And we don't really know what it's going to be yet, but I think there's that risk-taking that's so virtuous that they're taking on the risk to be the guinea pig to see how this might work. I mean, what does it really mean for Bitcoin to be legal tender? Well, that means you'll be able to do things like pay for a house in Bitcoin or buy any good or service that you want to in El Salvador without having to pay capital gains tax on your cryptocurrency. You see, one thing you have to understand is that there's millionaires and decamillionaires and 100 millionaires all over the world who are as wealthy as they are purely because they invested in cryptocurrencies. And the reality for them is if they take that money out into cash in America, that's probably going to reduce their wealth by 25% because they have to pay capital gains tax on it. If you have all those people out there who now want to come to El Salvador to spend that money, or maybe you'll even have businesses who decide to put themselves in El Salvador or headquarter themselves there so they can receive payment in Bitcoin, now you have a culture where you're fostering this environment of cryptocurrencies and their actual use case in the real world. So on one hand, we could see El Salvador become the place where people go to invest and use and spend cryptocurrency, and that might attract a lot of innovation, a lot of talent, and a lot of wealth, which is good. Now, on the reverse side of the argument, the downside here is that, well, first of all, we don't really know what this might do at all. I mean, an analogy would be like, we have Facebook and we have Twitter and we have TikTok and Instagram, these different social networks that encourage you to post different forms of content. Like Twitter is just text and replies, TikTok is 10-second little videos. The way that they structure or incentivize you to create content makes a completely different platform. Instagram is super different from TikTok. They have different trends. Same thing with Twitter and Facebook. When we take a cryptocurrency and throw it into a country, we don't really know how those variables and incentives are going to play out, and we don't know if that will be a good thing or a bad thing. And especially when we consider this, we might have El Salvador become the place where everyone goes to spend their cryptocurrency when it's sky high, and then El Salvador is left holding the bag when the market crashes, because people are going to want to spend their crypto after it's gone up quite a bit. And then as El Salvador, the businesses and the economy holds more and more cryptocurrency, if the price begins to fall, now they're left holding all that cryptocurrency at an appreciated value. So this could be great for El Salvador. It could also be a massive miss. But all in all, the great thing about this news out of El Salvador is that we have a guinea pig, like I said. And what that means is we're going to be able to test this out and see what happens in the real world. And that might actually lead other countries to join in. It might not, but it could. And all of that being said, it just seems like more and more we're starting to see major institutions, governments and corporations start to deal in cryptocurrencies and start to try to figure out what might the use case for this be. And as more and more institutions take that risk, we're going to actually discover what Bitcoin's going to be used for ultimately, because right now we don't really know. So has this really changed my investing philosophy around cryptocurrencies? You know what? I don't think so, but it is just more confirmation. It's like more and more confirmation bias that this could be a real thing. But like I said before, what we're trying to do is we're trying to understand, is this something that's going to be around forever, or is this something that's going to get shut down by governments, or is it going to be just kind of made irrelevant through different tax policy or what have you? And the reality is, as time has gone on, I've started to see Bitcoin become more and more legitimate. You know, every time there's a major crash because of one narrative or another, like Elon Musk or El Salvador, we see the price return to a level that is higher than the previous low. And every time we receive better and better news, it continues to climb. We've seen major security breaches where a crypto exchange goes under. And we see the ringleaders of the cryptocurrency community like Elon Musk, he comes out, makes a statement that hurts the currency, and it still remains, and it is proving to be more and more robust. So for someone like me, I don't necessarily see cryptocurrency or Bitcoin or Ethereum, any of these things, as something that would ever go all in on. This isn't an investment in my view. Now, at the end of the day, I don't really see Bitcoin or any of these cryptocurrencies as really an investment that you want to have in your portfolio. As a financial professional and someone who deals with this stuff all day long, it seems to me more like an insurance policy. At the end of the day, what the crypto bugs are really after is some sort of decentralized currency that can't be manipulated through trillions of dollars in stimulus spending, or when the Federal Reserve decides to print more and more money to get its way out of its problems. Cryptocurrency works really well for people who want to store their value somewhere where it can't be censored and it can't be manipulated. And the reality there is that there's some sort of doomsday scenario. And although the odds of some sort of collapse of the Western monetary system or hyperinflation in the US dollar, it's such a low percentage chance, but in the event that it does happen, and it's becoming more and more likely, honestly, if you know about finance or you read the headlines or you're thinking about the way that central banks are manipulating currencies or printing money or using stimulus dollars very liberally, this is starting to rub a lot of people the wrong way. And if there were to be a scenario where we have rampant inflation, where prices are increasing and increasing and increasing, what Bitcoin does is it allows you to have a store of value where you can ensure that at least that block of money you've put in there is protected from hyperinflation, because Bitcoin has a finite supply. It's becoming known as digital gold. It's something we can use even in the event of a collapse of a financial system or hyperinflation or anything of the sort. So all of that being said, I'm starting to believe more and more that cryptocurrency should play a role in people's financial plan. It shouldn't necessarily be seen as an asset class that we should over allocate to and go all in because it's the future, but it's something that I'm starting to see should play a role in people's portfolio, maybe to the tune of 5% or 10%. The sort of thing that allows us to protect our portfolio and ourselves from the idea of a hyperinflation scenario. All in all, I think that this story and this news we're seeing out of El Salvador is good, and whether it ends up being good or bad for El Salvador, that's up for discussion. But I think it's great that we're seeing this risk taking where a country is going to come out and give this a shot and see if it's actually going to work. And maybe them being the guinea pig opens the doors for other people to try. So anyways, guys, that's my opinion on the news that came out this week. And if you've learned anything whatsoever about cryptocurrencies or you got any value out of this whatsoever, make sure to hit that like button below, hit subscribe to support the channel, and turn on post notifications for more videos just like this one every single week. Until next time.